Oh,
What's
look,
going on?
You caught me. I'm sharing the Competition Plus Power Hour from X to my account, Monday Morning Racer on X, formerly the platform known as Twitter. So you folks do that as well. Hit the like button, hit the share button, dive into the comment section, because Dugenais, it is one of, no matter what may happen, historic weeks in drag racing that we have ever had come upon us as modern day drag racing fans. It is not often that you find the revival of a sanctioning body to yet burn nitro again.
Yes. 19 years it's been since the IHRA has been in existence, and its resurrection begins tomorrow as they start the sportsman cars, and should be an absolute fun weekend. We've got two people that plan on being there and hoping that they can get one of the new in 2025 trophies of the IHRA and be a champion in this particular race, Outlaw Series, here at National Trail Raceway. Pretty good looking facility too, by the way.
Yeah, they spruced it up a little bit. The name is going to be different. I wish they work on the font a little bit. It looks like, 3 A's running together, but nonetheless, hey, that's the logo. It's what we're going with. It's what we're working with. Things look good. It's been a while since I have been to outside of Columbus. I think it's Hebron. I'm not sure how they announce it there in Ohio. I'll figure it out once I get there one way or the other, but it's east of Columbus, kind of like a Atlanta Commerce type of situation. And, Charlotte Concord, everybody loves to why do they say Columbus? It's nowhere near. It's kind of close, and people know where Columbus is over that neck of the woods, but a historic facility. It has got a historic weekend ahead of it, and the IHRA has, never dropped off the radar, but certainly burning nitro and professional ranks that it did. And as you mentioned, we've got 2 guests here in just a few moments that we'll be chatting with that, they're both going to be burning nitro, one in Top Alcohol Funny Car and the other in Top Fuel. So a lot to discuss concerning the IHRA and what will certainly be, and I think it's going to be positive in this mind, is a positive weekend, a positive note for drag racing history. But whether positive or negative, it's going to certainly be a note historically of what we've got ahead of us this weekend. Well, Dugenais, why don't you introduce our first guest that we've got here on the Power Hour tonight?
Well, we're going to have Sean Bellemeur on the show, and with the IHRA, they made some different turns with the nitro in the alcohol ranks in the percentage. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes off there. And I'm looking forward to seeing really all of those who are running in the alcohol classes get it off. And maybe this is the beginning of where their new home, where they race the most, could be, especially if the treatment is, on par.
Well, we're going to learn about it right now with Sean Bellemeur. Sean, welcome to the show. How is it in what I assume is sunny California?
Yeah, you got that right. And I'll tell you what, after a couple of weeks in Norwalk and head to Columbus, it's way less humid here.
Wow. Ohio. I mean, the entire country has got a heat wave going on for the most part of it beyond the desert states. Yeah. But Nitro Chaos, during the time of the region for you, and then the national event weekend, and now rolling into outside of Columbus, going to continue to be toasty. Man, what do you do to stay hydrated? I mean, man, you throw on that 20-plus layer suit and get in a hot rod and sit in there. What do you do to stay, cool all weekend?
Stay out of it as long as you possibly can. No, but in all seriousness, it took me a couple of years driving for Tony and Steve and, racing back east and stuff I hadn't done a lot. And my body certainly was not used to it. So I do some different things and, a lot of Pedialyte and a lot of staying cool. And it does make a big difference, believe it or not. So I'm excited to go back to Columbus. I actually love that track. A lot of history there, and a lot of videos of watching cars as a kid. So I love that facility, and Jay and JJ and the whole team there has been increasingly have made that place better. And so I'm excited to see with this, with the new look and new funding, and it's going to be a great weekend.
Well, I have to ask you straight out of the gate, IHRA decided to go back in the direction where, the combination was before. How do you feel? You know that track pretty well. How do you feel that combination is going to work out this weekend?
If I could turn my camera, there's a dartboard on the wall over there. I just close my eyes and throw the dart. Fortunately for me, that's a great question for Steve Boggs. My plan is exactly the same. You go up there with a cutthroat mentality and try and kick all their butts. But you need a whole nother show to talk about what we've been through with NHRA and the percentages and all the other stuff. And the short version is we came to determination with where NHRA landed on the rule that the car was no longer competitive. The last time we ran the car at 91.5%, which is where IHRA has set their rule, the thing ran really pretty well, and we feel anyway to be about as competitive as we could be to be fair to the alcohol cars. Last time we ran this combination was in Charlotte at 91.5%, and we feel we ran within a hundredth or two of what we possibly could have with the blown cars. So I think it's going to be really good racing. I think the team at IHRA and National Trail Raceway are going to have that place prepped as well as possibly can be. And one unknown is we really haven't run these injected nitro funny cars in the heat yet. So that's the big question mark. That's the throwing the dart at the dartboard. But I'm excited, and I'm really, really glad I have Steve Boggs in my corner, because if anybody can make it work, it's him.
Sean, certainly want to ask in depth on the conversation with the IHRA concerning the percentage and where it was and how it got to. And I know some other side of it with the traditional blown methanol guys. But let's begin also and dive in that, well, this won't be your first IHRA start. David Wazowski was able to clue us in that you have got at least one or two under your belt. So there is some I side even for Mr. Bellemeur already.
Yeah, it was cool. I drove for a team, 15 years or so ago, that was based out of Western Canada, and so we ran the IHRA race in Edmonton, and it was absolutely refreshing. The team at IHRA had treated us like absolute kings, and great track, and it was a lot of fun. It was kind of a party environment. Everybody was having a good time, and great racing. So I'm excited to go back and see what it's all about again. Kind of a breath of fresh air. We felt that way when the Midwest Series first came about during COVID, and the treatment of the racers there was so great. And so once again, excited to go back, and it's been a long time, but I do actually have an IHRA license hanging around here somewhere.
That's pretty awesome. What are some of the things that I have heard about the treatment as well? This could be something special for that class. And if they can embrace you guys with open arms, and that treatment could be better, could see a lot more of this class over there in IHRA.
Absolutely. And, I don't think anybody is going into this weekend with the intention of dogging NHRA or, pointing fingers or, talking about any downsides to it. If anything, maybe my race team, we're hopeful that maybe some things can be learned on both sides here. And, I'm excited. I've actually had a lot of response just on the little bit of social media that I do, and I know our Bartone Brothers page has, from IHRA fans, excited to see Top Alcohol Funny Car, excited to see the injected nitro funny car. I did an interview with Bobby at Competition Plus, and we talked about the last time injected nitro funny cars were even around. That was an IHRA. So there's a lot of historians of the sport that are in IHRA on that side of the country that are excited to see us come out. So I'm really looking forward to what I think is going to be a great weekend, and maybe some people from the inside of the sanctioning bodies are taking a look and hopefully maybe pick up a few things, because I think really this could be a two-way street if anybody wanted it to be.
I agree.
Yeah, completely agree. This is something that hopefully, I'm not so sure it will move the needle on the sport, but it may very well set the gauge for the needle to move in the future. People can, figure some things out, implement some things. I look at this almost as an opportunity, how the pro race was. Before the pro race, we weren't getting 3 qualifiers on one day and a 2-day national event. They do it down there in pro, boom, it's implemented within the NHRA. So we may very well see that happen after this weekend. Oh, by the way, the NHRA does have history of taking the best things from other sanctioning bodies and rolling them into the NHRA. That's not a bad thing. That's not a knock on them. That's certainly observing and rolling things in. Anybody should be doing that. When we talk about treatment, though, at the end of the weekend, Sean Bellemeur, you've got a lot of experience with drag racing. Bartone's got a lot of experience with drag racing. Boggs, a lot of experience with drag racing. Y'all have done this drag racing thing a lot. What is a good weekend? Away from winning, away from running good, but you left the track and you're like, I had a good drag race. What happened for that to happen?
For us, it's schedule. And NHRA's got their hands tied a little bit, and that I understand with the amount of TV coverage that they have and the obligations they have for the big show on TV. They've got to juggle the schedule a little bit, but they tend to forget, I think, that we too have sponsors that we have to answer to. We have sponsors that come through the gate that sit their butt in the grandstands and watch and take a look around. Well, if we're doing that, being the last cars down the track at night, the video boards are being put away. That doesn't look too good for our sponsors. And so if we can go a weekend and have everything go on time, everybody run when they're supposed to, fair track conditions. I understand weather plays into that, but fair track conditions, we're not running after, 200 super gas cars with no track prep. That's a little tough. But that's what we consider a good weekend. And I know NHRA tries. However, sometimes I feel like maybe they got too many cars out there. They've got so many paid classes that, have paid their right to run at a certain time. And unfortunately, the alcohol cars have been left behind a little bit. And I think that's something that, has been discussed in the past a little bit, but really never acted on. Well, I looked at the run schedule for Columbus this weekend. The first thing I saw was opening ceremonies and then Top Alcohol Funny Car. My sponsors are already excited about that. I was excited to share that with our sponsors. So that's a good thing. That is something that, again, is a breath of fresh air. Now, IHRA, so far anyway, does not have the obligations that NHRA does. Maybe they will one day, but it comes down to the times that we run these cars. There have been times, honestly, to be perfectly honest, as a racer, we have run when we should not have. Dangerous conditions. I remember specifically a qualifying session a couple of years ago somewhere where there were 5 top 10 drivers in qualifying, and 4 of them either crossed the center line or hit the wall. That shouldn't happen. And so that's what it boils down to. That's the number one thing for us, is trying to keep our sponsors happy, trying to represent the class well. Well, we got to have a decent racetrack do that. These are still very, very fast cars, and they need good track conditions just like the pros do.
Yeah, Sean, I think about the fiasco 2 years ago, the fall national event at Las Vegas, where Top Alcohol Dragster and Top Alcohol Funny Car were absolutely screwed in qualifying and the national event. And I'll say it because, I was trying to cover it because I have to hang out there with you all as long as you're out there too. And it was absolutely wild that they're like, oh, we got regional action anyway. We'll just roll y'all into the next part of the weekend and do that. That was fascinating.
Yeah, very much so. I was looking at that schedule too, Sean, with you guys leading it. I think Dave posted a great question in the comments as well about the possibility of, basically the alcohol funny car and dragster categories kind of be in a junior nitro deal, with the way they're leading with you guys and in the IHRA, that really does, this is not putting down NHRA, but that does make it more enticing, because at the end of the day, you said it quite well. There's sponsorships on your cars as well that need to be showcased. And with this package that the IHRA is bringing to the table, where it can be anywhere and there's going to be eyes all over this thing, from Amazon Prime to your Roku channels, all of that, that has to also make it more enticing as well for you guys to come out and put on a show.
Every driver I've seen on those entry lists that came out yesterday or day before, I know fairly well. And I know that every single driver out there is going to roll up their sleeves and give it every last thing they've got. We are going to showcase our class to the absolute best of our abilities. They say Alcohol Funny Car is the hardest car out there to drive. I'm sure Pro Mod guys would dispute that, but I'm going to stick with my guns and say Alcohol Funny Car is the hardest car to drive. And we're going to show why that is. It's going to be a great turnout. Whenever there's a buzz around something, you better believe that us drivers and the race teams, we know it, we can feel it. And so that makes us want to elevate ourselves to do better as well. So I can't wait. And you're right. I think being a fresh start here for IHRA, the sky's kind of the limit. I think it can go about in any direction that they want. And if we get some good weather this weekend, which it looks like for the most part we will, man, look out. There's going to be some fast times. I think you'll see a bunch of header flames and some excitement and, a lot of really fast cars, the Pro Mods and the Top Fuel Funny cars and the alcohol cars. It's going to be a great show. And so, it's there. Maybe NHRA can look at this and say, pick up some ideas that maybe there wasn't from thought of before from their marketing side. But, I've always kind of thought that, the top alcohol cars should be marketed more as a Stars of Tomorrow thing. Now, don't let the gray hair fool you. I started in my 20s in alcohol cars, but, my dad had his partners in alcohol cars from, 30 plus years ago. And he had 3 drivers of his own go from alcohol cars to nitro cars. One happened to be by the name of Gary Selzy. I'm sure you probably heard of him. Look at what Matty Gordon's doing. And, so many drivers, Sean Langdon and so many others that had stepped their way through the alcohol cars. Well, you know what? It's tough to market it as the Stars of Tomorrow if they're running at 10 o'clock at night after everybody's gone home.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, when I was going to the Southern Nationals, my home national event with my dad, I didn't look at the schedule and say, hey, when is Pro Stock, when is Nitro running? It was, when is Top Alcohol Funny Car and Top Alcohol Dragster running? That's where I want to get in and start the show and start my Friday qualifying away from school, playing hooky, because I get to go to the national event and enjoy methanol and nitromethane and Pro Stockers there. So, yes, do not skip out on Top Alcohol, whether it's Dragster or Funny Car. Dave W., our statistician, folks, remember dragracereference.com. Check it out when you get a chance. A lot of great stats there that you can check out and add to your portfolio and maybe win trivia night at the local establishment if they got some drag racing trivia. Look, you've done very well at Columbus or National Trail, and that in regional trim, because though it hasn't had an NHRA national event in a long time, it did still hold regional and divisional action. Now being an IHRA track, you're going to be rolling in there and looking to do as you've done, and that is be successful. So it is notorious, though, for people finding that farmer's field. And is that something that even to this day, for classes that are going to be running the quarter mile, that is a concern?
Any track you go to is. Ask Chris Foster 2 weekends ago in Norwalk. He ended up out in the field. So, but Columbus is notorious for it. But, in my opinion, one of the biggest advancements that they have done there is they have actually extended the shutdown area. The main turnout is still in the same place, but what used to be a sand trap then the road, then an additional sand trap. They've gotten rid of the first sand trap and they paved it. Jay, again, once again, he and his team, they thought safety first, and they paved that. We've got probably an additional 300-400 feet of shutdown area before we hit sand. So I'm not saying you're not going to end up in the sand, but you're going to scrub off a ton of speed. It's actually an uphill kind of ramp up to the sand trap. So it's not nearly the concern that it used to be, but it is still short. And let's face it, in these cars going 270, 280 miles an hour, you got to be on your game. And that's one thing Steve taught me years ago when I first started driving for him. He said, I have a brake pressure sensor on this car and I pay close attention to it. And he actually expects me to maintain a certain brake pressure before the parachutes ever hit. And that did save my butt one time in Maple Grove. Had no chutes there, and it's not the longest track in the world, but we got it stopped, and that was thanks to him kind of nitpicking my driving and making sure that I got on those brakes in time. It's different than it used to be, guys. We've got four-wheel carbon fiber brakes now. Back in the day, the steel brakes, the hotter they got, the worse they got. Just ask Mike Dunn. So the technology is better. But yeah, it is a concern. And I think, it's not nearly what it was. They've addressed the issue there. And I don't feel unsafe going there. Nobody should. There's no reason to. They have kept up the safety side of the technology there at that racetrack. And I'm excited. I think it's out of all the drivers' minds. And, what used to be the stigma that was Columbus, take a look down there, gang. It's not that way anymore.
You mentioned something interesting that I didn't know. Could you tell us about how you maintain brake pressure in those cars?
So the benefit of a funny car is the fact that we have front brakes, and especially with now, talking about blown alcohol cars with a clutch, you actually have a bias on the brakes to where you can have more front brake pressure than rear brake pressure, or vice versa, depending on how you choose to run the car. Well, staging, your brakes are a big part of it. So we pay real close attention to how the brakes are applied. So we put, for myself anyway, we put the chute levers on the right side down by the brake handle. And I go right from the parachutes to the brake handle. There's no wasted motion in between. And so that brake handle is being pulled on before the parachutes ever hit. There's a few in-car videos of me out there on YouTube and things like that. You can see it. It shoots to the brakes. Once I feel the chutes hit, then I'm good to let go of the brakes. But if I don't feel those chutes hit right away, you keep working that brake handle. The carbon fiber is already warming up. Those brakes are doing their thing. And if you're not able to get it completely stopped, you should be able to get it way down. But, I got to tell you, gang, the speed of these cars now, you're traveling a lot of railroad, so to speak, at 270, 280 miles an hour. So the fact that you'd waste no time getting that brake engage and getting the head of steam off of that car, that's really important. And like I said, proof was in Maple Grove a few years ago with no chutes there, and we got the thing stopped. And if nothing else, minimize damage, keep the thing from bouncing, because once you get a race car bouncing, especially a dragster or funny car, you're pretty much just along for the ride. I mean, it's tough to stop with the cars flying through the air.
Indeed.
That it is the tire footprint, the contact patch to do any stopping. It's got to be, contacting. It's got to happen. Sean, it's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that when the IHRA announced the initial percentage, there was an exodus of like 8 blown methanol cars off the entry list. And then there was that adjustment going into with the percentage that we are this weekend. And Bartone Racing is still on the list. So it must be something that, hey, we're okay with this adjustment. And also the blown methanol cars are okay with the adjustment. So already better just on the negotiation level going into the IHRA event.
Guys, that's something personally I try to stay away from. I'll give you my 2 cents and what I know. But in the end, Tony Bartone pays me to drive his funny car, whatever car shows up. And, it's well documented how I feel about the blown alcohol cars. They're my favorite. I was in love in Norwalk because I had my funny car back. This injected nitro project has been a lot of fun, though. I will say that. And, when we started this whole thing at 95%, I think the speculation out there was pretty close to everybody agreeing that, hey, that's probably going to end up being too much in the end. But you know what? There was a rear end gear issue and 95 was already on the table. And anyway, that happened. I got to tell you, for the record, going 528 with that thing at 227 miles an hour at half track with front end in the air, that was pretty cool. But it was not the right place for the injected nitro cars to be. I'm going to plead the fifth on a lot of what the other blown alcohol racers are saying and doing. What I have learned this year is, my goodness, do people become your unfriend very quickly when they don't like the rules that have been applied for you, and then become your friend again when you bring the blown car back out. It's amazing how that happens. So that's all I'll say on that respect. Basically, what to my knowledge, how this all went down is they called Steve and asked what his thoughts on 90.5% was, and which is the current NHRA rule. And Steve simply said, that's why we parked the car. We cannot run, especially in hot conditions, which we're going to have this summer. You cannot run and be competitive in those conditions. Mick Steele kind of proved that. Out of 2 races in Norwalk, he made 1 real good run, qualified well, but the conditions were real good. And so, and that's nothing against Mick. He was fighting the rules. So in that respect, I think, when they first came out and said 92.5 was the number, Steve said, yeah, okay, we'll run it. That's fine. And some point after that, it went haywire, and all the blown guys said they were quitting again and whatever. And so here we are at 91.5%. So that's what I know of it. I have actually politely asked my team to just not discuss that part with me anymore. I got so frustrated earlier in the year, and in the end, we all just want to go racing. So that's the part that I want to focus on personally. I need to focus on getting that car down the track, cutting a good light, winning drag races. So that's what I'm doing.
That's smart.
Yeah.
As the driver, do driving things. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's smart too. No reason to get into the minutia of all the other little, stuff going on around.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but my lip's bleeding really bad right now.
That's awesome. Man.
Well, go ahead, Dujanay.
Man, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys go out there and kind of set the standard here throughout this whole event. I think it's so special to have the IHRA come back. And like you said, I think this is something that drag racing needs. It allows this thing to have different ideas to be put out there. And I think both NHRA and IHRA and other sanctioning bodies can benefit from seeing another sanctioning body kind of thinking outside of the box a little bit and showing and presenting something a little different. And I think it's going to benefit everybody who got involved with this thing and are supporting it.
Yeah, I agree. And there's really no downside here. We're racing this on a weekend that is not conflicting with NHRA. There are some cars, I'm excited to look at see the Nitro show. There's some cars out there that I've not seen race a lot. Couple I haven't really heard of at all. And I'm really excited to see how they do. This is a chance for them to go out and showcase themselves without having to maybe jump through the corporate hoops that some of the other sanctioning bodies require. So it's going to be an exciting weekend either way. I love going to Columbus. I've got one big secret weapon. I'd say that every time we race in Ohio, and that is Steve Boggs, born and raised in Ohio. He's raced there all his life. I'm not sure there's anybody else out there with more runs on an Ohio track than Steve Boggs. So he knows all the conditions that can be thrown his way. He is a wizard when it comes to tuning an alcohol funny car, whether it be injected nitro or blown alcohol. And anytime he tells me to hold on to my ass, I know it's going to run good. And he's already told me that this week. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I appreciate that perspective. I think overall it's a positive for the sport. I think we are going to glean things from this weekend, if not realize and be a part of the dawn of a new modern era in drag racing that very well could be what is upon us this weekend. Sean, look forward to seeing you at the track and, maybe holding up an Ironman at the end of it all.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Take care, man. Well, speaking of nitromethane, in just a few moments after this upcoming break, we've got Krista Baldwin on the show. Certainly no stranger to the Competition Plus Power Hour, but she is happy. She's not going to see her car go down the quarter mile, but by being in the cockpit. And you know that girl is happy to burn some nitro and be willing it at the same time. So this show, the Competition Plus Power Hour, is brought to you by Weldon High Performance. For your high performance application, when you need a pump, you need to think Weldon High Performance. A word from them, then Mrs. Ball. And you know that girl is a happy lady because she gets to drive a nitro car this weekend. Hey, Krista.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Man, it is great. It is great. We're talking drag racing. We're looking forward to the inception of the IHRA, back to the professional slate. Like, it's good.
Yeah, believe me, I'm super excited for this weekend just to be part of something reborn, new for this generation. And so it's going to be super fun. And I get to race with all my friends. Literally everyone on all the entry lists are my friends. So it's going to be a super, super cool weekend.
Yeah. And you're starting a third generation of IHRA racers starting at this race. A lot of history for your family here with the IHRA, and you get to carry on that legacy here at the reborn of the IHRA.
Yeah, no, we've been going to an IHRA race for many, many years between my grandpa and my dad. So just to be able to participate in something that they've done for many, many years is always super, super special to me. And of course, to do it in a top fuel car, obviously that's the best part.
Yes, I feel like, historically, IHRA, there was a period in time, I really feel like the IHRA, maybe early 80s rolling kind of into mid 80s, you could argue that IHRA was actually ahead, if not excelling, beyond the NHRA. And then there's a quick pendulum shift, and you have the NHRA really move forward and culturally be the image of drag racing. But back in that time, like, your grandpa and then Don Garlitz and many others, big names, they had no issues going and racing at the IHRA and counting it at the highest level of the sport and trying to get the job done there, and continuing battles, from NHRA to IHRA, some winning a championship on one side and the other one winning on the other. It's just a cool time. Do you think that we could have that again in, 2025 and beyond?
I think so. I mean, take a look at my grandpa's career. I mean, it's definitely not all NHRA. He did tons of match races, went to IHRA, went to AHRA. I mean, he raced almost every weekend for, 25 years plus within that schedule. And we got to remember, we're putting on a show for people. Like, we are entertainment. And, obviously the love for us is driving these cars and getting them down the racetrack, and just the tuning aspect of it is a big puzzle. And so that's just, we're on the edge of such adrenaline rush, and, just trying to get the car down the track is just, it's an amazing feat at any level, at any sanctioning body. So, but I honestly think this would be it's a great opportunity for the sport. It's a great opportunity for, fellow top fuel drivers that are in the same boat as me. Obviously the end goal is always, race for a championship in the NHRA series, but it's not feasible for me right now. But to get my feet wet back again in the race car at an IHRA race, I'm super excited to see what this weekend and what this year unfolds.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when we were talking about this inception, and thinking about teams like yourself. This is a great opportunity to get a little extra money for your team. For some, it could help them maybe improve their program, and over time, maybe help them get to other NHRA events. But for yourself, because you don't get enough seat time in the NHRA, this is an opportunity for you to kind of keep the whole thing going, keep the rhythm going. So you're not rusty. You kind of stay in that rhythm. And when you can go, you're just that much better as a driver because you had an opportunity to get out here and be at events like this.
Oh yeah. I mean, every time you hit the gas in a top fuel car, it's absolutely mind-boggling different. Every time I go down the track, I learn something new. I experience something new. It's just absolutely amazing. But I will say, having the last few months watching Spencer drive the car and just having Spencer as a mentor has been such a big part of my journey. Obviously, like, I don't know everything. I definitely do not. I'm still a super rookie driver. Just still trying to learn the ropes of, how to handle these 12,000 horsepower beasts. But I mean, any opportunity that we get to burn nitro is like a super exciting time. And I think the cool part is, like, IHRA is making such an effort to make it such an audience, like an audience-based experience. I mean, it's not only just the nitro cars, but I mean, shoot, you got Sean Bellemeur, who's like the champion of all champions in alcohol funny car. And you have, all of these cars, especially in the top fuel class. I would say that we all will be super competitive. Obviously, it's not going to be a 369 weekend or better. I'm thinking it's going to be more of like a 380 weekend, but between all of us, we can all run 380. So it's going to come down to, who can drive that car the best come Saturday.
Well, I'm telling you, I've already picked you as being the winner of the Ironman. We had a discussion. Me and Dave W had a discussion, and you were my pick in top fuel.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think that's a solid pick. I think that is a solid pick. You were not my pick, Krista. Sorry.
Whatever.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, I got to go with my man Foley. I think Doug is going to have a strong showing. He's going to pick up where he left off from the IHRA. Hey, I do know this, Krista. My wife is pulling for you. Ever since she met you, like, I'll be at an NHRA event. She's like, "Is Krista there?" And I'm like, "No, okay, never mind." Like, okay, I'm just not even here. Like, what's the point? Speaking of the girl power, interestingly, just observation right here on the show, you're the only lady in nitro, and that's like unusual now in the sport of drag racing.
It is.
Yeah, it's actually going to be super cool going out there. But like I said, all those guys that I'm going to be competing against, I've known them for years. I mean, shoot, Luigi Novelli, I've known for all my life, and it's super cool to see him and Will Smith back out here. And Cameron Frey, he's a buddy of mine back from California. And, it's the cool part is, like, going up or leading up to this race, all of us are texting each other. Like, we have multiple top fuel chats going on. And it's just literally like, okay, so how are we going to make this work? How are we going to band together as team owners, as drivers? How are we going to put on the best show that we can? So, because every one of us wants this to work. Like, obviously, I'm speaking on all of them because I know what they will think. Like I said, the goal is an NHRA championship, run for a championship. That's absolutely the end goal. Like, we all want to do that. But like I said, to burn nitro is a really exciting time, and to do something that's so, intimate, and it's going to be so real and so raw. And obviously, everyone's going to be able to access all of our pits, and that's the cool part about drag racing. But I think this is going to be awesome. Like, straight up going to be a good time. Like, I'm already having a good time texting all my friends like, "Hey, when are you getting there?" So it's going to be cool to line up with everyone. And shoot, me and Doug Foley, we talked about it in Norwalk, that we probably will have like a driver's meeting amongst ourselves, and we'll just say, "Hey, we're going to give each other time. Like, we're here to put on a show. Like, if there's something wrong on your side of the lane, tell us to wait. Or if you see something, say something." I mean, we just got to be super courteous of each other, and we've all raced together for many, many years. So it's going to gel very well, I think.
Yeah, I think that is very good to know. And I think that's super important in this particular venue. You want everything to be different. This is the time to think outside of the box and to do things a little bit differently. And at the end of the day, with people being there, with this streaming package, there should be a ton of eyes on this. If you're not watching, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but this should be a really cool time to really get a lot of eyes on not just the IHRA and drag racing, but you guys as well. And doing something like that and thinking outside of the box and doing things a little bit different, I think that's also another way that invites more who may have a car that's sitting to come out and make one of these IHRA races, because it's not the same grind as it is in the NHRA. I think that's really cool to band together, understand whatever we're out here to put on a show. We're going to help each other, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that at the end goal is putting on a show.
Absolutely. And that's what we have to remember. I mean, like I said, we're in the entertainment business. I mean, we absolutely love Burning Nitro and we love the competitiveness, but in the end, we want to put people in the stands to know what 12,000 horsepower feels like, because obviously you cannot describe it on TV. You cannot describe it on the radio. You have to be there in person to experience the phenomenon of what a top fuel dragster is. But no, it's like I said, like, this is going to be like, I have like the vibe of, going to a regional event and like all the alcohol dragsters and funny cars are there. And it's just going to be like such a cool event to hang out with. Like, it just, I'm super excited. And the advertising for the IHRA has been absolutely amazing. I mean, I keep hearing it on the radio. I'm down in Tennessee right now, and I've heard it on the radio down here. So what they're doing is they're putting a lot of money behind this. And I think if we just work together and work with IHRA and work out the kinks this first weekend, I think it's going to be super successful.
I agree. I think we're going to have a successful weekend. I feel like part of that is because the cool kids are getting together and about to have a race. I feel like some of the chatting and everything you're talking about, that's not usually happening on an NHRA weekend with everyone
Definitely
involved.
not.
And, honestly,
maybe me and Cameron, but that's it.
Right. And I feel like, look, drag racing can certainly be a professional sport. It is a professional sport at the NHRA. But drag racing, out of all of the motorsports, is more show-oriented than all of them. And it cannot fully step away from show elements and be successful. It's got to remember, hey, we do have to put on a show. Like, I mean, how is it that we're not known for burnouts anymore, whether it's drifting? How is it that we're not known? I harp on this all the time, but how are we now not known for that energetic, impromptu, in-your-face interview at the top end, and yet they have it at stock car racing on the finish line? Like, come on. We have lost elements of our show. So it's cool to hear you all talking about what can we do to make sure there's a good show, because ultimately at the end of the day, I do think, yes, good racing, and I have no issue with 80s. It's going to be hot. Like, that's a good number, period. And, by the way, y'all a bunch of NHRA rejects,
Yes, we are. And you know what? I am totally okay with being called a reject. Like, I love the internet so much. You just learn so many good things about yourself when you read the comments. It's just, I love it.
I tell you, it's again, for what we're looking at condition wise, 380s are going to be great. Your car last 2 weekends ago was up there in the field. Doug Foley, when it was hot, was number 6. At Virginia, Scott knows how to get down a dirt road. I've seen him do it at Eddyville and Mocan, where you should not probably get a top fuel dragster down. But like, come on, people. But it just looks like the cool kids are together and about to have a good time.
Yeah, and that's going back to, what my grandpa was experiencing, for all those years. Like, there's a reason why he drag raced for over 70 years. And it's the camaraderie and it's the competition. And it's, we're all going to the same place. We're a traveling circus and we travel as a family. And, we will help each other no matter what. I mean, we might be racing each other the next round, but if you need to come over and borrow a blower, which that has happened to me in Chicago this year, we'll give you the blower. I mean, we're all here for the same thing. And I mean, how can you do this without the help of your friends?
Yeah, that's so important. in this particular sport, especially. I think that's what makes it so unique, is that at the end of the day, at the core of it, everybody's willing to help everybody to get the job done and to put on a show. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I don't know if you saw that or not, but if you get the job done, you could join Shirley Modowney, Rhonda Hartman-Smith, Hillary Will. That would be really cool company to be a part of there.
Yeah, no, it's super cool to think about that. I mean, shoot, Rhonda Hartman-Smith, me and Megan, we've been super good friends since, we were kids and we were running around the pits. And so to be able to like be in a category with Rhonda is like absolutely astonishing. And she's one of my favorite drivers. So to say that is going to be huge. And it's so funny because I always joke, if I won a drag race, I'm going to drive that bitch back. And I feel like IHRA would be way more on board than NHRA. I'm going to pull in a Erica Enders on everyone. Drive it back.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it. Some let's see who's like the last to do that. McCullough at like Indy or something, driving back to the pits. Yeah, that'd be cool. That
would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, just the win is going to be absolutely crazy. I mean, it's going to be off the rails if I get that Ironman at the end of the day.
Hey, you certainly got a good chance, and it's certainly going to be a good show. We're looking forward to it. At the end of it, though, look, this sport in and out. You know it now as driver and owner of one of these money gobbling machines, as much as they, gobble up nitromethane. At the end of the weekend, what does a successful weekend look like from the sanctioning body, communication, and those sort of things? What are you hoping for as a drag racer with a top fuel car out of this event? I don't mean the racing. Y'all are going to take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that we don't know that you're looking for?
The biggest thing will be track prep. That's one thing that's been huge on our minds. Me and my crew chief, Scott Graham, we've been talking about it. And the track prep is going to be what will make or break this, because you can, obviously, I mean, take Scott Palmer, for instance. He can get that car down anything. I mean, he was in Eddyville driving a top fuel car, which is absolutely insane. But for it to be a healthy competition and, to make it a level playing field for everyone, the track prep is going to be huge. As a team owner, definitely the payday.
Yes.
The money coming into hand will be, one thing that I have to work my weekend around that. Obviously there's a few different versions of how my weekends go, but as a team owner, I literally have to watch the finances, and it's always tough, especially, the last couple of races I've been watching Spencer drive the car. And so I've had to make kind of hard decisions on how we want to run the car and when we want to run the car. And, I talked to Spencer on what his idea is, because obviously he has many, many years of experience into these cars. So like I said, it's cool to have Spencer on my side, but the end all be all is going to be the payday. And then as the driver, I really hope that the TV coverage package is going to go well, because if people can't come to see us, they still want to see us on TV. And kind of like what Sean said, I mean, we have sponsors out there that just want to see the car on the screen. And so that's going to be a big thing. But I think the guys over at Speed Sport, and especially the commentators that they have lined up for this weekend, I think they'll get the job done.
Yeah. See, so I have a twofold thing too. Money, and I said that from the beginning about this, that money is going to also help you guys out as small teams. But I also believe that these so-called rejects people, these more laps are not good for the competition. These same rejects put out top guys in NHRA events here this year, okay? These laps are not helping them, because at the end of the day, the more laps you guys get when you do show up at an NHRA event, it's even more tough for them, as if you guys aren't keeping them honest as it is.
Correct. And especially going into a weekend like this weekend, it's going to be pretty toasty out there, which the last 4 races in a row have been super hot. But for us to continue to work on that sticky, hot racetrack tune-up. I mean, that's most of the time out of the last 3 NHRA events, if you went A to B, you were winning that round.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the main thing is, you know, you got to be conservative when you have to be, but you also have to push the envelope and not, you know, back yourself into a corner, because you don't want to beat yourself. That's the worst part of all of this is you want to go, you know, all out to the wall, run what you brung to the racetrack, and, you know, hopefully you get that win light.
You are no stranger to marketing and marketing drag racing to find partners to be that marketing partner. Has there already been a buzz amongst potential partners of the IHRA, or is this really just a drag racing buzz that we have right now?
No, it's actually becoming a buzz in the marketing world, because it's another app, another TV package, another, you know, streaming service that shows your brand in front of new eyeballs. And, you know, of course, NHRA fans or drag racing fans in general are the best fans in the world, because if we have something on the side of the card, they're going to go out and support that company because they're supporting us, because it goes back to, you know, every ticket is a pit pass. And so you get to come and hang out with us, and you get to make that instant friendship with me or whoever your favorite driver is. And when they have something on the card, you're going to support it. And so that's the cool part. But no, I think this is going to be pretty big. I mean, it's another way to get the message out there.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think it's going to be huge for teams like yourself when it comes down to getting marketing partners, because now they can see the value. Not only your car will be here in the IHRA, but it's a twofold thing now. It can be seen on both. And I think that in itself is going to be huge for teams like yourself to be able to have that opportunity to run more races and have an opportunity to run for an NHRA championship as well.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime that a Top Fuel car could be on a streaming service is a huge part of the industry. And so we just got to be creative on how we approach new brands and new marketing agencies and say, like, okay, this is where you need to spend your money, because these people, our fans are some of the best fans in the world, and they're very loyal.
All right, Krista, you talked about the chat leading into this race. I'm sure there's some people a part of that chat that may not be at this race, but they're on the fence. Now, you don't have to drop no names, but how many Top Fuel cars, funny cars as well, you know, that crowd too, are out there and they're wanting to see how this one goes? How quickly could this movement grow?
Very quickly. The fact that, so obviously it's a Midwest centric series, that's huge. I mean, the travel these days is one of the biggest killers on logistics for myself. I mean, I spend the most money flying people in and putting them up in rooms and things like that. But there's definitely people out there. There's definitely teams out there that are literally going to watch everything that we do this weekend to see what happens. And so that part's kind of cool. Like, I don't necessarily like being a guinea pig, but I'll be a guinea pig for this because I believe in it.
That's awesome.
Right.
I like that. I like that.
All right. Well, Krista,
plus, I
look.
get to drive. So
Exactly.
Right.
That's the cool part.
Yes. Hey, and it's fitting. A Baldwin is in it. I mean, you know, your family and there's a lot of history there. I mean, you got a lot of history in drag racing everywhere. Don't get me wrong, but like it just makes sense and it fits. Speaking of drag racing and speaking of Ohio and it being hot, you were at Nitro Chaos and hung out with Jake Sanders and Katie and the Menace crew. And I think that's your first Nitro Chaos, if I'm not mistaken. So how was it? What'd you think?
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. I love watching any kind of drag racing, especially if you're burning nitro. But no, Jake Sanders definitely has that Menace Top Fuel dragster dialed in. I mean, what he's done in the last year has been super remarkable. You know, just getting it down the track. But no, it was such a vibe. Like I said, like that. I love hanging out with my friends, and I love burning nitro. And you know, especially with Chaos, is, you know, Tara and Chris are great people, and they put on a wonderful show. And it's all about the environment, and that's a cool environment. And I wish I could race a Nitro Chaos, but I don't think my car is allowed.
Not now, but we did mention, like, you need to talk to the common connection with the injected nitro funny car, and we need to work something out. We need some Krista at Chaos. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, believe me, I'm trying real hard to convince Anthony DeCero that I need to drive that funny car again. So hopefully it happens sometime this year. I mean, we even thought about, because Spencer's going to drive an Indy. I'm not doing anything. Let's take the funny car out, at the biggest race of the year, because that's
hey, I like that. I mean, I'm sure Joe Galvin, whoever, can play that up. Hey, that gal driving that car is a top fuel owner. I mean, they can play it up. They can play it up.
Yeah.
That will be
we're working on some plans. We're working on some plans.
Okay, good deal. Well, Krista, we know you're going to have fun this weekend, and we know also you're a top pick of several out there. That car is running good, and you're going to be a threat, and we're looking forward to the show this weekend there for the IHRA Outlaw Nitro Series. Hey, by the way, what oil are you running in your Top Fuel dragster?
Only the best in the world is Redline oil.
Redline oil. That was Krista Baldwin, a word from Redline.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition and a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
The cool kids are going to be outside of Columbus. And Dujne, there's a lot of positivity around this, but it is fascinating the few negative quacks that pop up from time to time. Let me tell you something. I'd rather hang out with the rejects than the corporate stiffs any day in any sport. And we're about to get that with the IHRA. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah. I call those folks, they're just like WWE fans. They've been trained by the NHRA to think a certain way, and because that's pretty much all they know. And that's just not how it is. It really isn't. So, I don't understand what the big deal is. It's drag racing. And there's always somebody that's got something to say, but that's what I think. I think those people are just trained to think a certain way. And these individuals can come out, and I don't, like I said, I don't know what races you've been watching, but Doug Foley, Dan Mercier, you saw Lex June make an extremely nice run there in Norwalk. There are cars that are putting big boys on the trailer because they're going A to B, and it's Nitro, man. Like, no one's gonna get upset about Nitro. So
right. And look, you do not race them on paper. You never know what is going to happen, what is going to take place. So, it's going to be a good show there in the state of Ohio, National Trail Raceway. Looking forward to getting there and seeing the action. Look, Sean Bellemeur and Steve Boggs, Tony Bartone, that gang being there, that's huge. You've got a Doug Foley and his program. Look, I know they're part-time, but if they were a full-time team, I think they'd be a threat for the top 8, top 5 almost instantly. And, you've got good cars there and good programs there. Even, I know many would look at like Luigi Novelli's program and not put much stock in it, but Will Smith, in chatting with him, that car's been front half. That car, they've retooled. They've bought some new parts and pieces. They're trying to figure out a combination now with new things to go faster, quicker, and be more reliable out there. So this is going to be an interesting show on so many levels. It is going to be toasty. We're not going to see 60s, so don't expect that. And don't be going on to the internet saying, oh, these cars were slow. It's not the case. They were in, well, some hot, toasty conditions that nobody but except maybe David Grubnick would be figuring out. Exactly. And sending a car down through Broadway to, the stripe of shock and awe with ET and mile per hour. But with what Krista said, I think what is most encouraging, others are watching. Yeah. Like, we did not get, I know we have full fields, so let me be careful how I say this, but we didn't get full fields.
Yeah.
We're going to have full fields, but we didn't get full fields. And I think after this one, as long as it is a success, there are several other cars, drivers, teams that are going to participate, and we're going to have a hardcore bump spot type of situation.
Oh, yeah, I think so. And, there's one thing that I find interesting, too, and me and Dave have had this conversation before, that, if I'm Coletta, why wouldn't I bring my cars out there? I could potentially make more money at that particular race than going out to Sonoma. Why it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to hurt me in a playoff situation right now. Because, hey, I'm pretty much, my cars are pretty much solidly in. I could go and make some serious money there. I do believe that you will see more people. I think people are taking a wait and see approach. They want to see how things go off first. But I do believe that with the people involved and with the racers and their communication with each other and, looking to do things a little bit differently to make sure that this is a success is huge. And as long as the track prep can be there, and I mean track prep as in give them a good racing surface and let them tune to that, not tune to how much stickum we can put on the racetrack.
I think after this weekend, the IHRA kind of figures out their place within the sport. They be a bit distinct from the NHRA, and you've got the formula for success. There's a lot they got to figure out. I've said this to you. I've said it to others, such as Dave W. and beyond. I have no issues, no qualms, no hesitation concerning the racing. I think the racers and the race teams, they're going to show up. They're going to put on a quality show. Yeah. The only thing, and to all of those that are there with National Trail Raceway, with IHRA, man, just have parking down, have enough porta potties, and don't run out of concessions.
Yep.
That's it.
Key. Don't do that.
That's it. And also, as hot as it's going to be this weekend, have more paramedics there than you think you're going to need, because there's going to be people falling out due to heat. Yeah. It happens all the time. We had to stop Nitro Chaos Show, I think, 3 times because medical personnel had to be pulled away from the racing to help assist people who, dropped out due to heat-related issues. So have some more personnel on site. Have a tent. If nobody's thought about that, think about it. Yeah. And have it prepared and ready to go. But I think we're going to have a great event just outside of Columbus there at National Trail this weekend. Dujane, when you think about the streaming package, what do you think? Constantly, let's go over it, because constantly people, it seems like even on the very post that talks about where it is streaming, people are asking, is it going to be televised? Is it going to be streamed? I've had so many people ask on my content about that. That certainly is something people want to know. And yes. So your thoughts overall on the package that we've got right now?
It's smart, very smart. And you can find it on the IHRA TV YouTube. If you do not have any Roku, the Pluto TV, it should be on Tubi. Any of those fast channels, it will actually also be on Amazon Prime as well. So any of those there, you can find it. I think it's smart. And I talked about it on my show earlier with Dave W. And what I can see here, because the question came up, or the statement came up, that it would likely eventually go behind a paywall. And I say it doesn't have to go behind a paywall, because you're going to have downtime. So basically, you could have ads that play during downtime. I think it would be smart and to not have it behind a paywall. Use this opportunity to have sponsors, have some type of a sponsor to support, or sponsors to support, and keep it free. The more people that have eyes on this thing, the better. And the more people that are watching are more encouraged to go out also and to attend, because you want as many people to see this product as possible. And the way that they're doing it right here is they're hitting all the points that are important, that people have, that are free, streaming channels that most people already have due to, these smart TVs and, phone apps that you can have. So anywhere on anything, you're able to watch this. And I really think that what they did here was extremely, extremely smart and savvy. Could be an interesting and a way to watch in the future on how this goes, because I think you want to stay away from being what NHRA TV is. Nothing wrong with that, but it's the cost. If you can find ways for sponsorships to absorb the cost of the streaming, that's the way to go. Keep it as free as possible. More eyes, the better.
Absolutely. We're trying to figure that out, whether it's Southeast Gassers Association or Funny Car Chaos, Nitro Chaos. How can we stream and it be an in-house production and it not cost the viewer anything? Or if it does cost the viewer, it's so little with all you get that it just makes so much sense.
Yep.
With what we're getting, I mean, you're going to have YouTube with IHRA TV. Just search IHRA TV. It's going to pop up. There is IHRA Motorsport, if I remember correctly. That's an old YouTube channel now for the IHRA. So you want to search IHRA TV, and you'll get the YouTube channel that will be used and is current for the IHRA. You've got Speed Sport 2, Speed Sport 1, and look, you can access those very easily through the web, through Roku, through Amazon. I mean, just your smart TV, you're on your phone. So just search in your app stores on any device. You'll be able to find this. Now, I would not be shocked, Dugenais, if eventually it is behind a paywall to some extent with Speed Sport, because that's kind of their program. They even mentioned that to us with Sega of, hey, stream to your YouTube, but then like going in eliminations, that type of thing, have it behind a paywall, you can charge whatever, $10 per race. Not a bad deal. Don't get me wrong. No. But nonetheless, that is kind of their MO. We'll see in the future what they do. Definitely advantageous that it looks like this one is going to be free and have all access, and we're going to be able to see it. So looking forward to all the access we're going to get. I am a big proponent that do not put yourself too far behind walls.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. NHRA.TV, it is great. If you are a hardcore drag racing fan, it is great. You get to see every pass on a national event weekend. But I dare say that NHRA.TV is not growing NHRA drag racing whatsoever.
It's not.
Now, you can make the argument that the national broadcast can potentially be growing the sport because it's in front of the masses, and the access to it, especially if it's on a Fox, is greater than NHRA.TV. And then certainly I do love what the NHRA has been recently doing, loading a lot more racing content to the YouTube channel, because YouTube, it puts it in the algorithm, and the potential of someone finding it and liking it grows and creating new fans. 1320 Video, they have a video of Dale Worsham overseas, and they film his funny cars. Like the first time they ever got to film a funny car. Their mind is blown. And if you go in the comments section of this video that's got millions of views, you have people asking, is there a human driving that? Like, legitimately, they don't know. They've never seen a funny car, much less a Dale Worsham type tuned and driven funny car. And their minds are blown. Well, they were able to see that for the first time, not because they necessarily went looking for it, but the algorithm put it in front of them. So IHRA TV, got to have that. I'm glad they're doing that. Speed Sport's going to do a great job. Looking forward to several of the people involved. I personally do wonder how the pit reporting talent is going to do. Yeah. They seem to have a heavy motocross background. We'll see how they do in the world of drag racing, if they know their stuff by the time they get there. We'll see. But I think away from the pit reporting crew, the people that are involved, such as Tommy Johnson Jr., and I think Ralph Shaheen is even going to be directly involved. Certainly, they're familiar with the sport of drag racing. So on that side, looking forward to it. But, hey, you got coverage. Everybody was wondering. Everybody was asking. You definitely do. And then also the YouTube coverage and the social media coverage. I know Redline Motorsport Media is going to be there. I know Kyle Chris is going to be helping out Scott Susie with the limo guy. I will be there covering what I can, even though I've got a client in a team that I will be assisting. And then, hey, by the way, competitionplus.com is definitely going to be the place to go to get your information on what is happening in the state of Ohio for the IHRA revival.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of coverage. Pay attention to the Competition Plus social media channels as well. Look, man, they need some knowledgeable guys. I think we can do that pit reporting for IHRA. All I need is a room and a little bit of money, and we're good. So you need some knowledgeable guys. Hey, I'm totally available.
I hear you. Looking over the crew, I think it's going to be good. The pit reporters are two ladies, and again, heavy motocross background. So I wonder how they're going to do. Get up to speed, but just tell the stories. Tell the stories of the people. Don't get in the weeds of the technical. Exactly. Okay. Like for example, as we already talked about, Krista Baldwin, interestingly enough, of the Nitro ranks, the only lady. It's kind of rare these days in drag racing. Play that up. Third generation. Play that up. There's Dale Worsham, former champion in the IHRA. Play that up. If they do their research, there is plenty to play up and connect. Speaking with Dave W. earlier today, there's things like that Dale Creasy Jr. and Doug Foley were in a final against each other in Top Fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, there's so much that you can weave together of strange IHRA history that just seems so odd to us, but yet it happened in the IHRA. So I just hope they really do a deep dive and put all the links together on the dots and just tell the stories. So, look, there's your coverage. Dugenais, let's take some time. I'm going to bring up this image. The length. This is sharing with us National Trail, Milan, back to National Trail, Dragway 42, and Galat. Interesting in the sport that we're getting different distances in this season. You don't often see that. The IHRA has done that in the past. The IHRA has even, mid-race made decisions in the past of, hey, due to safety, we're going to switch things up. But at National Trail, the Nitro cars, 1,000 feet, Pro Mod, Pro Nitrous 660 feet, including Mountain Motor Pro Stock, and then Top Alcohol Funny, Top Alcohol Dragster to the quarter mile, along with all the other classes except for Top Fuel Harley. So, look, if you're one of those individuals that you want to complain about 8th mile racing, well, there's not much to complain about.
No.
A lot of it is to 1,000 feet. A lot of it is to the quarter mile. So stop complaining.
And I saw a comment from George Abbott about the racers or people about quarter mile. And to be honest, I mean, if you want to be truthful, the racers like going to 1,000 feet and don't mind the 8th mile racing. It helps them on parts. Nothing good happens after in that 320 feet. Nothing happens good in nitro. In that 320 feet, it usually goes south after that. Especially when we're talking about eliminations and pushing the envelope and wanting to get the win. It doesn't matter if it drops a bunch of holes. That person's going to stay on it. They're trying to win, and it usually is catastrophic when it does go. It's catastrophic now to 1,000 feet. So I don't believe that the 1320 deal is the only way to drag race. And right now, if you look at modern drag racing, most, Drag Race Mayhem is all over that, but most go to 8th mile, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think that type of racing is great. The competition is great, and the racing is great. Great side-by-side racing. So, yes, a lot of fans are stuck on traditional 1320, and I get that. But at the end of the day, the racers don't really care about that extra 320 feet because it saves them dollars when it comes down to parts and other things. Like I said, nothing good usually happens in that 320 feet. Nothing good usually happens. So, I have no problem with what they're doing. And I think it's an open mind as well on making adjustments per track on the distance that you're going to run. So, kudos to them. I think it's going to be a cool weekend, though. A lot of good stuff and a lot of great racers out here. My pick for Nitro is Joey Haas, by the way.
I think in Funny Car, that's a solid pick. It's a solid pick. And by the way, on the distances, the tracks that everything is 660 feet, the 8th mile, like they're 8th mile tracks. They don't have a 1,000 foot or quarter mile section. They are 8th mile tracks, and like that's the safest distance, obviously, to go. So I'm glad that for a place like Galop Motorsports Park, they're going to have a big nitro show come in. They've never really been able to have that because of the limitation of the length and the idea that, well, we've got to race to the 1,000 foot, but no, you don't. You can race other distances, even with a fuel car, and put on a show. I experienced that routinely with Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos. Yeah, man, I agree. Joey Haas in the Hot Rod, the 2024 Nitro Chaos champion. They are going to be there for this first IHRA event. They just see it as a good opportunity. They feel that they have matured their program even beyond just the match racing scene, though they are intently doing that this year instead of defending their championship in Nitro Chaos, that they've got a program now that they feel like they can go out and compete, and that's why they are going to do it. Now, on this list, there is an adjustment that needs to be made, but Joe Morrison will not be there. Apparently there was some issue of Paul Smith having them on the list and then not enough crew guys. So Joe is not going to be there, but either way, no matter what side you're looking at, these are some interesting and also solid fields in their own way.
Yes.
For what I think we're going to experience. We're going to be in the heat. We're not going to have cars going down the track setting any international records. We're not going to see 345 this weekend. I don't care if Bob Tasca was there. We're not seeing 345. I don't care if Austin Prock was there. We're not seeing 345. We're not seeing any of that. But we do got a group of cars that can certainly put on a good show. Joey Haas and them, they know how to put on a good show. I guarantee that. They get that. Jack Wyatt, he's been in the match racing scene. They can do that. Dale Creasy Jr. as well. Dave Gallegos, they've got a bad hot rod that they're still trying to figure out. They're going to have some help from Mike Guger, from what I understand, coming up to this event. Terry Haddock, we haven't seen him that often on the NHRA scene, but performed well there at the Funny Car Chaos Classic. And that he's going to be excited to represent his team with the number 1 on the side. From the last time that Nitro Funny Car of the modern trim, if you will, was in championship condition in the IHRA, because there was Nostalgia Funny Car after that on Nitro. But the last big show, if you will, champion, Terry Haddock. Alex Barker, someone from Blown Methanol Combination in Funny Car Chaos, now with a big show style car with sport of folks from Chaos and what he was able to learn there. Mike McIntyre, that's certainly a
that's a name.
Bad at the bone hot rod. Dale Worsham, I mean,
yeah. Some names there, man. And that's what I stressed on the Not Bland show earlier, was the fact that these people look at these lists and you say what you want, but these are great cars that are running great in Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos. You just gotta peer outside of you gotta look outside of your tunnel vision a little bit. There are cars that are running exceptionally well and doing good stuff over there in those series, and they're going to have an opportunity to be able to run and be the big show. So I don't expect anything less from the people on this list. It's going to be a very good show of cars and people. All of those names have done and showed something. You look at Top Fuel, all those names have shown something in NHRA. And Lex June recently, beautiful run there in Norwalk. Cameron Foray, you look at Doug Foley, has immensely improved over the last handful of years, and is running super consistent. Krista Baldwin, good car. And we saw Will Smith. They didn't get enough to get in the show, but they were on the right track. And made some really good passes. So this is going to be huge. And the competition will be great. I really do believe that there's just so many people there that, yes, you haven't seen them on the NHRA circuit, but they are running other series and they're doing an exceptional job doing that as well.
Mitch King, he's been burning nitro for a very long time. Certainly someone familiar with the IHRA. Chuck Lofton, he's been a drag racer for a very long time. Maybe used to him with Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos in competition. Already had a successful year with 2 runner-ups in Nitro Chaos, one with the flopper body on it, one with the altered body and his brand new McKinney chassis. Longtime drag racer. He's going to get an opportunity to get into a Mitch King Top Fueler and, well, earn a license and qualify. That's going to be an interesting story to follow for Chuck. So we've got a good field and got to race them. You cannot just look on paper. I know right now you might circle Doug Foley. You might circle Krista Baldwin. You might circle a Scott Palmer. But the fact is, you know as well as I do, Dugenay, that if there was going to be some drag race bracket bonanza for the IHRA,
yes,
there'd be people sweating on those round 1 picks.
This is ugly. This is ugly. I would not want to have to pick this round 1 at all. This is going to be no different than what we've seen all NHRA season. The just unpredictability on Sunday from these nitro cars and really from the entire pro field. It will be unpredictable. I don't expect anything different here in the IHRA. There will be some bracket busters happening here this weekend in the IHRA.
Yes, absolutely. Look, it's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to being there. I saw Jay Warren in the comment section earlier, and that's NC Pro Modder. Folks, if you're not following NC Pro Modder, on Facebook and YouTube and beyond. Give him a subscribe and a follow. Does some great live streams, and he's contemplating whether to go up. Well, Jay, again, if you don't go, I could highly recommend heading over to Rocket City Dragway and catching their program with Pro Mods in the House. And that's also before we come back even to talking IHRA or anything else, Duchesne, there is other drag races happening this weekend.
Yes.
I know Reading Motorsports Park out in California, they have an event. Virginia Motorsports Park, they have an event.
Yeah.
There is drag racing taking place at Dragway 42 in Ohio. Oh, man, Ohio has just been like
it's the Mecca right now, man.
Nuts
Mecca.
with drag racing. It's so wild. You've got obviously the IHRA event. You've got London Dragway in London, Kentucky with Pro Mods in the house. You've got NHRA divisional action down at South Georgia Motorsports Park. I mean, it is happening everywhere. I know right now, yes, the IHRA has got all the attention, and rightfully so. But if you cannot get to the IHRA event, go to your local drag strip, wherever it might be, and check out a good show.
Yeah. Before we get that, do you know anything about the racer, the Southeast Gas Association that had the boat fire? How is he doing?
I don't have, deep details. There was some information shared to the Southeast Gassers Association. People have been, to the hospital, and they have been tended to. There is a GoFundMe set up, and it's in that post. So if you go to Southeast Gassers Association, you'll find that post. There is a GoFundMe, and you can support that way. So if you're able to do so, just freak accident, one of those just strange things, and just you never know when life can get chaotic. It can happen at any moment, at any time. So if you're able to help out, please do so. And hey, we're immensely blessed that we're able to sit right here, talk about drag racing, have a good time. There's a lot of people across the country right now that are struggling with so many things. Yes. And they're not having a good time. And may the Lord bless them and keep them. And if you send positive vibes, whatever you want to do, definitely do it. And if you can support them and however you want to give and can give, do that. That's certainly worth doing at this time. I know we're looking forward to a big event with the IHRA. Man, Duchesne, I don't know how long you've been following drag racing, but I can remember the IHRA and it being that legitimate place to go race. I can remember the IHRA with its professional categories just falling completely off the map. And here we are. We're about to have this rejuvenation of the professional categories in the International Hot Rod Association. Yeah. So many have said that it needed to happen. So many have hoped that it would happen. So many had lost hope. But yet this weekend, outside of Columbus, Ohio, to the east at National Trail Raceway, people are going to be able to buy a ticket, and they're going to see Nitro be sent up into the air once again under the IHRA banner. Yeah, we live in an amazing time.
We do. I've been watching it since first grade, and to be honest with you, in my area, and especially in Maryland and in Southern Maryland, that's the home there of Maryland International Raceway, which was an IHRA track. And that was the big deal. I mean, everybody waited and looked forward to that September Labor Day race. I was a big Clay fan in the IHRA. That was my guy over there. Watched religiously the IHRA. It was great. And it was great. Both were great. I didn't have an issue, or some were more IHRA fans than NHRA fans, to be honest. There are a lot of them out there. But I loved them both. And, I felt like they were both equal but different. And it's a great day to have them back back, and Nitro's back, and racing is back under that banner. And I know we're all hoping that this thing is the beginning of something special, because I really think drag racing needs this, not just for the racers themselves, but as a whole. If we want to advance, competition always makes things better. I always go back to wrestling, but if you're a wrestling fan, you've seen that. With this emergence of AEW, although WWE hasn't been that great lately, but the competition always brings out the best in both. And I'm really, really looking forward to this weekend. And I will be tuned in tomorrow to all of the sportsman action that will be going on starting tomorrow. So good stuff here. It's a great time to be a lover of drag racing. That is for sure.
Well, folks, we're not done yet. Dive in the comments section. We want to hear from you about what you are most excited with concerning the IHRA this weekend. So dive in the comments section. Let us know what you're excited about. Or as Kellen Kennedy here at Nitro Maniacs is saying, hey, shout out locally up there in Canada, NHRA Heritage Series in Edmonton this weekend. Yeah. 8 legend Nitro funny cars confirmed, plus some Street Outlaw guys and Pro Mod. Should be a good show. Yes, that should certainly be a good show. Look, Canadians, they like their drag racing from Rob Flynn to, Stan Sipos is going to be driving, and along with Phil Ez, and they're not necessarily Canadians, but Les Davenport. Yes, and going to be turning the knob. So dive into the comment section. Let us know what you are excited about concerning the IHRA. Dujanay, listen to this on ticket prices. This is what's going to cost you to get in the gate. Oh, by the way, Dujanay, before I even go over those, have you ever been to Pomona?
I have never been to Pomona.
You haven't been to Pomona? Okay. Absolutely ridiculous what it costs a fan, general ticket, to go to Pomona. Historic, great show. Yes, need to mark it off the bucket list, but after you pay at least $15 for general parking out in the middle of nowhere, even though you're on the same complex, and then on Sunday, it's like an $85 ticket. Woo!
That's insane.
That is insane. And then you're definitely waiting in line for the In-N-Out because it's actually reasonably priced at In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip for the In-N-Out Finals or the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals that is outside of winter right now, but still love the event. The prices this weekend: 4-day general admission. Now, Dujanay, usually NHRA, that'd be what? Like, 175, 275, 250, somewhere in there, maybe?
Somewhere in there.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I tell you what. We'll continue to talk here. Sometimes you got to pay parking. Yeah. Let's look at the next NHRA national event out there in Seattle, near Seattle, in Kent, Washington. Let's look at tickets. And get an idea of what they can cost. So 3-day full event starts at $184. 3-day full event.
Insane.
4-day general admission with the IHRA, $100.
Yeah, that's good prices right there. That's a steal.
Yep. Okay. Let's continue this comparison. Now, look, I understand. NHRA, you've got almost 16 car fields, over 16 car fields, more classes. There's an argument. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying the NHRA should, because of what the IHRA is doing, is just drop the prices. I'm just showing this in comparison that if you're a drag racing fan and you're griping, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, this is great for the drag racing fan. This is great for the facility. It's great for the show. It's great for the racers. It's great for everyone involved. So you go back. Let's look Friday. Friday there for the Northwest Nationals. and we'll go by purchase by price. I'm looking at this online. Looks like it starts general admission at $70.75. General admission on Friday, $70.75. You want to take what a guess is for Friday? Granted, there also is a Thursday general admission ticket, but Friday there at National Trail Raceway for the IHRA Outlaw Nitro Series is going to be priced. Dujanay?
$30. $30.
$10 more, 40.
That ain't bad.
They ain't bad at all.
That ain't bad at all.
Ain't bad at all. Oh, and get this. Saturday general admission is the same price. And that's race day. Usually that shoots up.
Oh, it shoots way up. It shoots way up.
So you can't be upset
about
the prices with the IHRA.
No, I think they have the pricing just right. It makes it enticing, and it's affordable for people to come out, bring a family of four if they want to. Yeah, good stuff, man. I like where they're at. Really good stuff. And it should be encouraging for those to go out and support it.
Absolutely. Well, the image is weird, so I'll just read it off from Facebook. You really had to zoom in to understand what was happening. So, folks, remember that there is action taking place on, well, even today, there was supposed to be action on track. Excuse me, not today. Tomorrow, there is action on track. Wednesday, Thursday, with the sportsman racers, if you will, top sportsman, top dragster, stock, quick rod, super rod, those type of classes. They are going to get 2 races in this week. Well, as we roll into Friday and Saturday with the professional categories and the top alcohol categories, pro mod, you are looking at, I like the shape of it, Dujanay. So, 7 a.m. gates open, and, for most people, hey, you're not going to be paying attention to that. But if you want to wait out until 3 p.m., that's when opening ceremonies are slated. You have a 3 p.m. opening ceremony situation, and they roll right into top alcohol funny car and top alcohol dragster. And that Q1 session of kind of what they're, again, considering pro ends with funny car and top fuel. And then the next session is scheduled for 7 p.m., begins with top alcohol funny car and top alcohol dragster. And the last cars to run are top fuel and funny car.
Yep.
And I know that starting at 7, we're looking at, with all the other cars in play, nitro cars should be really in the night, and we're going to get those header flames.
Yes, that's going to be perfect. And from what I understand, there will be no 500 cubic inch pro stock cars there at all.
I was not expecting it.
Me neither. I think they need to go ahead. They need to go ahead and scratch that. Mountain Motor Pro Stock is your baby. That's where you're going to get the most.
Yes.
I think you could get 16 cars plus. Worry about that. I do think they could probably shave some of the sportsman classes as well to condense it. I mean, we're talking about a reinvention of a national event, and I don't think you need to have every class that the NHRA supports.
No, you don't.
Let them do all that nonsense. You can take away some of that stuff there, but I do like the way this schedule is laying out. And I do like the fact that, they are leading with alcohol class. And I think that is special because I don't think that they get enough run and the respect that they deserve, because they're fun cars to watch too. And again, it's a whole lot of chatter between, NHRA media members about them being the where the stars are born, but yet you don't can't see where the stars are born. We don't know where they're born because you don't ever put them on when it's prime time where people can see them. And I think this is going to be special for them. And it's a great schedule. And it's cool that eliminations is on Saturday.
Yes, they've got a potential, rain date already built into this race weekend that is still advantageous to the racer because it's going to be hot with a potential of scattered thunderstorms. Imagine that. This time of year, Ohio just is what it is. It can happen. It may happen. But again, you also have more of an afternoon evening show that just makes a lot of sense. And Doug Foley Jr., who is a division director with the IHRA, and he's actually doing a lot more than that, I'm sure. He mentioned this on a podcast. Hey, you could potentially win $50,000 in the nitro classes and during the weekend make a whole lot less runs than you do in the NHRA.
Yeah. That's what's so enticing about all of it. And this is where I said, this is how these teams are able to kind of build not just their portfolio on getting more runs and getting more laps on the racetrack, but it's going to help them out financially as well. That's how you become different, and that's how it becomes lucrative for those who would be consistently over there because of this type of run schedule there. You're making more money than they're throwing away. So
yes,
I like where this is at. And I believe it's really going to help a lot of teams out. I mean, even the lowest, even the people who show up get something, you know what I mean? And it's more than what they would receive at an NHRA event. So
right.
It is a very lucrative package. And I think they're doing that the right way.
Look, from what I understand, the Mountain Motor Pro Stock movement to come home, Mountain Motor, come home to the IHRA, because that's where it originated from. That's where it started. It is home to the IHRA, and they're able to come back. Well, look, if there is 16 plus cars, man, just scrap that 500 cubic inch field, make it a 16 car field, do that on the fly. That's stuff that the NHRA just, can't do. Do it on the fly, talk to your racer, negotiate, work it out, and have a 16 car field for Mountain Motor Pro Stock. And if you don't get any 500 cubic inch this race, well, don't have the class anytime. You got your response.
Yeah. I just don't think there's enough cars, it's KB and Titan. There ain't enough other cars laying around to create a field. You know what I mean? It's not like 20 cars.
You would need Perninsky to bring both cars. You would need Mr. Beaver with Beaver Motorsports, where Larry Morgan often drives. He'd have to have his car out. Larry Stroop would have to come out. Roy Heel might have to bring something out of mothball. Where are you going to cobble them all together? I mean, the McGaheys, I could see them doing something in the future, possibly. I don't see. Fails his name. I cannot think right now. Smith, I believe it is, off the West Coast, Texas, not Texas. Obviously, that's not West Coast. California. He's had Strutmasters sponsorship before. You're not finding them hauling across the country to come and compete. But look, just make it full mountain motor and run them, even to the quarter mile if that's what they want to do. Switch that up, negotiate that, and say to 500, hey, cool, we gave it a shot. It's not going to work. It's not our thing. It won't be our thing. And after this season and figuring out what classes do and don't work, seriously talk to, Shane Ferris and talk to Kevin Kinsley and talk to Pete Dove and talk to, David Hirata and Tom Motry and figure out how to do modern fuel altered and have that on the list. And you have 3 full badass nitro classes. Make yourself distinct with Mountain Motor and Pro Mod, along with, giving alcohol their due and put on a show.
Yep. I think that's the best way to go. It's all about tightening up and making something that is not only different, but that has a good schedule, that can be fluid and that can be accomplished with ease without having, that with that schedule, there is built-in or would be built-in time if there was any downtime for oil downs or whatever the case may be, a wreck or whatever. And I think too many classes muck up things, and it hurts. It hurts other people that have sponsorships that also need to have the equal time as, your pro classes. So that would be, I think, the right way to go, and would make this whole thing really, really lucrative and a really top-notch show.
Saturday, 2 p.m. opening ceremonies. Now, when I say opening ceremonies, understand there is racing ahead of 2 p.m.
Mhm.
Don't want to knock the sportsman racers, but the way the schedule is advertised is that 2 p.m. is opening ceremonies for the start of the professional categories. Again, kicking it off with Top Alcohol, Funny Car on through and finishing that round around 4 p.m. is what they're estimating. Funny Car, Top Fuel, and the show continues with Funny Car and Top Fuel out on track for their round 2 around 7 p.m. and then finals as called, with the sportsman finals and pro finals included sometime after 7 p.m. but before 11 p.m. That's what they're shooting for. So I think this is a solid schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very solid. I like I said, I love the way they have this whole thing laid out. I love where they've got the opening ceremonies. It makes a lot of sense.
Right. You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Reminds me of a Nitro Chaos or Funny Car Chaos weekend.
Yeah. The way the schedule's laid out makes a lot of sense. That also reminds me of Southeast Gassers too. The way they're running in the afternoon. I like the way this is set up. This is more appealing too. Not saying that people don't want to come see the sportsman cars, but let's say you don't. You're not out there at 9:00,
right?
To wait 11. First session at 11, next session at 5. Tentatively, this is not an all-day trek here. You come out, get there a little early, 3 to 8, 9:00. That ain't bad. That ain't bad for some Top Alcohol, some Nitro, Pro Mod and whatnot. It's a better schedule, and it's a better schedule for the fan that they don't have to be out there first thing in the morning to beat parking and all of that because you've got a 10 or 11 o'clock pro session coming up, tentatively, coming up. So it doesn't make for an all-day deal. And I think that also is appealing, not only to racers, but also to the fans as well.
Look, I think any way in which the drag racing can figure out, and I think 8-car fields is a part of that, but if we can get into that 4.5, 5-hour show window, keep pushing to get there, because the fan experience right now, I think it kind of tops out around that. Dugenais, we've seen it. You look at stick and ball sports, it seems like the one that's got it figured out is football with all of its fan attendance and engagement. Baseball's trying to figure out how to make it quicker. Basketball's trying to figure out how to make it quicker. Hockey wants to keep the pace going. Soccer wants to keep the pace going. We got to keep the pace moving. And, I bring up my wife. She encountered Nitro drag racing for the first time with front engine dragster cars. And from her experience in Sega, her first ever drag racing experience, and she's like, wow, this is really cool. To then experience Nitro cars, she's like, this is cool, but why is the show so slow? And I'm like, that's a good point. Like, me as a drag racing fan, I'm like, I just don't really see it that way.
Right.
But if you are coming to drag racing as a noob, you're probably going to see it that way. So I think there's room, and it may not happen this weekend, but I think there's a lot of room for the IHRA really to experiment. What about the in-betweens? stuff.
Yes.
How can we fill that in even better and the show clock have a double quick time essence to it?
Yeah. I mean, when you're working media, you really notice it. That all day, I'm glad I don't have deadlines, because that all day stuff ain't for me. When I want to go, I'm ready to go, and I'll do what I need to do to fill in the time and get what I need to get out. But staying all day is tiresome. It wears you out. You're there early. A lot of us media people are there 7 o'clock. Some of us, Bobby sometimes gets there at 6 o'clock, and you don't leave until 9, 10 o'clock. Yeah, nah, that ain't for me, bro. That's getting old. That's an old hat. And you talk about the fans. A lot of times, fans are showing up 7:30, 8 o'clock, and they're there until the last car goes down. You hope it's 7. Sometimes it's not till 8:30. Right. We're talking about nitro classes, so it's a long day, and that somehow needs to be shortened. Not even for the media people, but especially for the fan. I think that's where you lose the younger crowd.
It also looks like we're going to get a true nighttime qualifying session, at least, if not a final session with eliminations. And do not advertise a nighttime session to me in Twilight. It is not the same thing in NHRA. Nighttime is nighttime, and it's the right time for Nitro, not Twilight.
Exactly.
Okay? Give me a nighttime session.
Exactly. Dark 30.
Cut the lights off. No, you can't.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I think that is something I think that is missing in the sport, is a true nighttime session. Fans love that, man. They love it. And especially if the track's got the proper lighting, no reason why it can't be done. So, this is going to be cool. It could have finals late. Could have, you got yourself a true night session here with qualifying on Friday. It's going to be a blast. I think they've got this thing laid out pretty nice. We'll see how this whole thing is able to stay on schedule here with everything, that they have before them on this first race. So I think they've got it down pretty pat there.
Yes. And man, we've talked about a lot, but there are some heavy hitters in the top alcohol ranks. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we talked with one of them, Sean Bellemeur. Phil Ez right now is running exceptionally well. He actually this past weekend wrapped up the East Region Championship, and already he's going to be a part of JEG's All-Stars and third regional win of the year. So he picked up his first ever number one qualifier back at Norwalk for a national event. And so that car is running exceptionally strong. DJ Cox, from what I understand, is going to be running. I think I saw it somewhere, or either Phil shared that with me, but it's not his old car. He's in a different car, but DJ is going to be running. So that's certainly a good driver that can get it done. We got the Meyer sisters.
Yes.
Back out. Megan Meyer, two-time NHRA champion, the Steel World record holder concerning ET in injected nitro top alcohol dragster combination. And then Rachel, I'm tired of my sister beating me, Meyer is going to be out there, and she certainly isn't going to pull no break against Megan or shoot, no matter what a round of elimination it is. So, that'd be cool if we got a heads-up final of the two sisters going at it again. That'd be great.
That would be great. Man, that would be great. That's a lineup. I believe Jackie Frick's going to be out there too, correct?
Let me see if I can find that. The alcohol list has not been published by the IHRA. I saw it from another source, and I'm not sure what that source is. So I do not remember, but I have seen it, and the IHRA has been dropping that Megan Meyer and Rachel are going to be there, but I have not seen. Oh, here we go. I found it. It is on Retro World Photography, and the entry list for top alcohol dragster: Brandon Greco, Megan Meyer, Rachel Meyer, Mike Coughlin, Dan Dietrich, John Osherman, Earl Nicholas Jr., Jeff Chatterson, Eric Hindenburg, Jackie Frick. There you go. Richie McPhillips going to be in the seat. That's a stout field of top alcohol cars right there.
Yeah, that's a stout field. That really is. Yeah, I see that. Dave W has it on his page. He shared the link to his page as well. But that's a nice lineup, man.
It is. It is. Funny car. Sean Bellemeur, as we talked to earlier this episode. Stan Sipos, Ray Drew, Phil Ez, DJ Cox, Tony Bogolo, and Kyle Smith. Melinda Green King, it's my understanding that she will not be there, though she was on the entry list. So it's just shy of a full field for the funny cars, but nonetheless, that is tough competition.
It's tough. It is very tough. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a blast. And Blake, I like vanilla ice cream. That's my favorite there. That's my favorite when it comes down to ice cream. But that is a great lineup, and it's anybody's race, to be honest. It would be cool to see the Myers in the final, though. That would be pretty cool.
We'll see.
That would be pretty cool.
History will happen this weekend.
It will.
And I hope
it will.
I hope from this is truly a start to further drag racing.
Me too.
That's simple.
Yep. I really hope so. This is important. This is very important for everybody involved. And it only betters the sport on so many levels. It betters the sport as a whole. And I hope this is the beginning of something sustainable for years to come.
I agree. Well, what is not sustainable is continuing the show any longer. Folks, we've enjoyed the time right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Thank you to Sean Bellemeur, and thank you to Krista Baldwin for their time. Hey, behind the scenes, a buddy of mine, Jacob McLeod, he's been helping out, hitting the buttons, been doing some training with him. Appreciate his time and efforts as well. Indeed. And it allows Dujanay and I just to free up and just think, and the show is able to run smoothly. So we appreciate that, Jacob. Thank you, the viewer, for watching and commenting. We'll do this again. We'll talk about the IHRA, I'm sure, next show on Tuesday after we have crowned, IHRA professional champions of an IHRA event. Wow.
Wow. Wow. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, absolutely amazing. I think that's peak. This word from peak, and we're done here with the Competition Plus Power Hour. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, and over there,
Dujanay Bland, host of the Not Bland Show. Good night, everybody.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
QuarterMileClassifieds.com is a new and easier alternative to online